Today we're going to learn how to combine like terms. So the first thing you need to know is what is a term. So everybody box that in. I'm waiting for y'all to box that in for me. Box in the word terms. A term is separated by either an adding sign or a subtracting sign. Please write this down. A term is separated by an adding sign or a subtracting sign. So I'm going to show y'all an example of what a term looks like. Okay, so if I have 2x plus 3y minus 4z, how many terms are in this thing I just wrote? What is the definition of a term? It's separated by an adding sign or subtracting sign. So in this problem, how many terms do you see? Is this a term? Yes. Then I separate it with this adding sign. Is this a term? Yes. And then here's a subtraction sign. Is this a term? Yes. So there are 3 terms here. These terms are not alike. Why are they not alike? Because their variables are different. So when you combine like terms, you can only combine x's with x's, y's with y's, z's with z's. Make sense? So the first example we're going to do is going to show you why would we combine like terms. Okay, so let's read this. To combine like terms, we add items that are the same to make a simplified list of items. So imagine we went to McDonald's and this was our order right here. 2 burgers, 1 fry, 1 soda, plus 3 burgers, 2 fries, 3 sodas. Would it be easier to say all the burgers at once? Yes, so this is a term, and this is a term, and they are alike. Are y'all with me? So how many burgers are there altogether? So there's 5 burgers. Now, if I wrote it like this, 2B for 2 burgers, plus F, what does F going to stand for? A fry. Why is there no number in front of that? Because it's assumed that you know if there's no number, it's just a 1. So put a 1 in front of that. 1 fry plus, what is this going to be? How many? 1 soda plus 3 burgers plus 2 fries plus 3 sodas. So if I was combining like terms, we already know 2 burgers plus 3 burgers is 5 burgers. But I would say, okay, well, 2B has the same as 3B. Are those like terms? So I would say 2B plus 3B is really 5B. Okay, now I would go on to the next thing that's alike, which are my fries. Now, the sign in front of it must be circled with it. So I have 1 fry plus 2 fries. So how many fries do I have? 3 fries. And then my last one that I'm going to look at is my sodas. I have 1 soda plus 3 sodas. So how many sodas do I have? 4 sodas. So it would be much easier for me to go up to the McDonald's register and say I need 5 burgers, 3 fries, and 4 sodas versus saying it like this long way. Does that make sense? So what we're going to do today is combine like terms. So everybody look at the first example. I am going to teach you to do this by what is called stacking. Now some of you might be able to do some of these in your head, but I want you to learn this stacking because negatives start to get confusing. So here we go. Everybody look at this first one. What is my first term? An x. So I can combine that with anything else that's an x. But I'm going to circle it with the sign in front of it. And I'm going to stack it. 2x plus 4x. Everybody with me? Then mark them out that you're doing them. You've already written them. Now let's look at the next term. I'm going to add a positive 3y plus a 5y. And then I'm just going to combine them. Now, in my calculator, I want y'all to look at this, I would never put in 2x plus 4x because my calculator's like, what does this x mean? We know that 2 plus 4 is not 60. Do not put the x in. Just say 2 plus 4 is 6, and I keep the x. So I have 6 x's. Does that make sense? Don't type in the variable in your calculator. Plus, what's 5 plus 3? 8, and what's attached to it? A y. And that's my answer. I have 6 x's plus 8 y's. All right, let's look at the next one. Now, this is where people get confused because of the minus sign, so you need to pay attention. I'm still going to start with my first term, which is a 2x, and I'm going to write it down. And I am going to combine it with this 4x, but what is in front of the 4? A minus or a negative, either way, right? So I'm going to write it as a minus 4x. And now I mark those out because I've done them. Now I'm going to put a plus sign, not because of this, but because I'm putting the y's with it. Now I have a positive 3y and a minus 5y. Now I go straight down. I combine these together. X's go with x's. So in my calculator, what am I going to type in right here? 2, how would you read this out loud? 2 minus 4. So go to your calculator, put in 2 minus 4, and you get negative 2. Now, is it just negative 2, or is there an x attached? So I have to put the x. Now I'm going to put a plus sign. And then I'm going to figure out what this is. How would I read this out loud? 3 minus 5. So that's what I'm going to put in my calculator. 3 minus 5 is negative 2. Is it just negative 2, or is there a variable attached to it? What do I need to attach to it? A y. And that's my answer. Negative 2x. Either I can write plus negative 2y, or I can just write minus 2y. They mean the same thing. This is the same answer as this. What would be wrong is if you had a double negative, like minus negative. But both of those answers are correct. They mean the same thing. All right, I want you to try this one on your own. If you need help getting started, look at mine. I have circled the x's. So I would write negative 2x minus 4x, and I would mark those out that I did them. Now I would look at my y's with the sign in front of it. Now I like to put a plus because you're always adding what's next. Okay? Now I have a negative 3y and a minus 5y. And now I can combine them. Ask yourself, how would I read this out loud? Somebody read it for me. Negative 2 minus 4. That's how you put it in your calculator, the way you would read it. Negative 2 minus 4 is negative 6x plus, and now I'm going to put in my calculator, how would I read this out loud? Negative 3 minus 5, which is negative 8. Is it just a negative 8 or is there a y attached? There's a y. Now I can write my answer just like this, or I could write this as negative 6x minus 8y. Because a minus sign gives it a negative value. So these answers are the exact same thing. I am perfectly fine with you putting it like this. I just need you to understand that these answers are the same value. Are we good? All right, let's look at the next one. There's lots of x's in this problem, so all x's go with x's. So I have a 5x, I have a plus 3x, and I have a minus 2x. So I stack all three things. 5x plus 3x minus 2x. And now I'm done with the x's. I mark them out. Now I'm going to do the y's, but again, I'm going to put a plus sign because I'm just going to add to that. Okay, I have a negative 2y, and I have a plus 5y. Is that all the y's? Yep. Now I have my z's. Now what did we talk about? If there's no number in front of a variable, what do I put? A 1. So I have a plus 1z and then a minus 1z. And I put a little line in my z's so I know they're not 2's. And now all I do is combine straight down. So how would I put this in my calculator? 5 plus 3 minus 2. Did everybody get 6? But I have to put the x on it because there's an x attached. Yes? Now plus. How would I put this in my calculator? Negative 2 plus 5, which is positive 3. What has to be attached to it? A y. Now I'm going to put in my calculator 1 minus 1. Well, what is 1 minus 1? So I have plus 0z. If I have 0 of something, do I even write it? No, so you don't even have to write that. And your final answer is 6x plus 3y. Okay, I want you to try this last one on your own. All of the x's go with the x's. Okay, did everybody set their x's up correctly? Look at mine. Yes? Okay, now we're going to do our y, so I start with a plus sign, because I'm adding it in. I have a negative 0.5y, and I have a plus 2.5y. And that's all I got. How many z's are here? Just a 1, so plus 1z. All right. I have 0.5 minus 4 plus 3.5, which is 0. Do I write it then? If you want to, you put 0x, and then you won't write it in your final answer. Plus, I have negative 0.5 plus 2.5, which is 2. What goes attached to it? A y. And then am I combining this with anything, or do I just write it? Just write plus 1z. Since this is a 0, I don't have to write it. So I have 2y plus 1z, or I can just put plus z. Does that make sense? Okay, I'm going to pass out your assignment and give a riddle. The front is a riddle. So let me show you what I mean. You're going to do this one. So I'm going to do it with y'all. I have 3x plus 1x. Yes? And then I have 2 plus 4. So I have 3 plus 1 is 4x plus, what's 2 plus 4? Now, does that have a variable attached to it? So I just put a 6. That's the answer. So I go find that answer at the bottom. Does anybody see a 4x plus 6? Right here, yes? And I put a u in that spot. And if there's any other 4x plus 6's, I put a u there, but there's not. Now, there's 2 of these that you're going to leave blank. So if you get your final answer and 2 are blank, you did fine. Make sense? The riddle says, what is the least spoken language in the world? So your answer is going to be a language. All right, get busy. And then there's like 4 multiple choice answers on the back.